The Fall of Humanity and the Awakening Beneath the Ice. The Nexian warships descended upon Earth like a curtain of death, their sleek obsidian hulls cutting through the atmosphere as they cast shadows over burning cities. The sky was thick with smoke, choked by the ruins of human civilization. The battle had been long and brutal, but in the end, it was inevitable. Humanity had been outmatched in technology, overwhelmed in numbers, and ultimately abandoned by the stars. Admiral Keck stood on the bridge of his flagship, his mandibles clicking in satisfaction. The massive tactical display before him confirmed what he had waited years to see: the final defeat of the human race. Pockets of resistance had flickered like dying embers, but one by one, they had been snuffed out. The last transmissions from Earth's defenders had fallen silent, and the alien empire stood victorious. "Final sweep complete, Admiral," his second-in-command reported, his voice laced with pride. No human life signs detected above ground on any continent. The last of their military has been eradicated. Earth is ours. Kex let out a deep, guttural hum of approval. The humans had been more stubborn than anticipated, but now they were nothing more than a footnote in history. Their cities would be stripped for resources, their lands repurposed, and their memory erased. The Nexian Empire had triumphed once again. But beneath the frozen wastelands of Antarctica, in a facility that had never appeared on any human map, something stirred. Deep within layers of reinforced ice and steel, a silent alarm had been tripped, triggering a protocol that had been set in place decades ago. Project Revenant. The facility was old but functional, a hidden vault buried beneath the ice, far from prying eyes. Within its walls, a row of stasis pods stood in perfect formation, their occupants frozen in time, waiting for the day they were needed. The moment the global population threshold dropped below critical levels, the system activated. Power surged through circuits that had remained dormant for decades. Machinery whirred to life. Consoles glowed with renewed purpose, and inside the pods, the final hope of humanity began to stir. Inside the first chamber, Commander Elias Kane's body shuddered as warmth returned to his limbs. His enhanced mind processed 20 years' worth of sensor data in moments. The memories came flooding back, volunteering for the program. The promise of preserving Earth's greatest warriors, the cold embrace of stasis as the world above continued without them. And now, it was gone. The pod hissed open, releasing a thin mist of freezing vapor into the chamber. Kane gasped, his lungs pulling in stale but breathable air. His muscles, augmented beyond human limits, flexed involuntarily as his body recalibrated. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. One by one, the other pods activated. Dr. Adrienne Voss, the geneticist who had altered her own DNA to withstand any disease, blinked as her eyes adjusted to the dim light. Beside her, Sergeant Marcus Grim Holloway, the cybernetically enhanced weapons specialist, let out a slow exhale, feeling the weight of reality settle upon him. To their right, Lieutenant Dorian Cross, a master tactician with neural implants that processed combat scenarios in milliseconds, checked his limbs for function. And last, there was Sienna Volkov, the engineer whose mind had been fused with technology itself, able to interface with any system, bend it to her will. As the five stood together for the first time in 2 decades, a figure appeared before them, a shimmering, human-like projection of the facility's AI, designated AVA. "Welcome back, Sentinels," AVA's voice echoed through the chamber. "Final protocol conditions have been met. Humanity's survival is no longer viable. The species faces extinction." The words hit hard, but Kane pushed the emotion aside. There was no time for mourning. Status report. What the hell happened up there? AVA's holographic display flickered to life, showing a grim reality. The Nexians had arrived 3 years ago. Humanity had fought, resisted with everything they had. But it wasn't enough. One by one, their cities had fallen, their defenses crumbled. There had been no mercy, no negotiations. Earth had been marked for extermination. "Son of a," Holloway clenched his jaw, his cybernetic arm twitching. They wiped us out. Just like that. Not entirely, HFY corrected. They believe they have achieved total victory. They have ceased all planetary scans and are preparing Earth for resource extraction. However, their forces have become complacent. Their security protocols are weak. Their presence on the surface is minimal. Voss folded her arms, her glowing eyes narrowing. They think it's over. They think wrong, Kane said coldly. The chamber fell silent. The Sentinels had been designed for one purpose: survival. They had been chosen for their abilities, transformed into something beyond human. And now, it was time to prove why. What assets do we have? Cross asked. HFY's hologram shifted, displaying the facility's arsenal. Advanced weaponry, stealth suits, prototype EMP devices, all remnants of a forgotten war effort. We also have access to captured Nexian technology, HFY continued. Before the fall, human resistance forces managed to secure enemy environmental suits and weapons. Their physiology is weak outside of their controlled environments. This may be their greatest vulnerability. A slow smile crept across Holloway's face. So, they can't even breathe our air without those fancy suits. Correct. Furthermore, their reliance on technology makes them susceptible to interference. Their ships are highly sensitive to electromagnetic disruptions. Volkov's eyes flickered with interest. I can work with that. Kane stepped forward, his gaze locked on the tactical display. The mission was clear. Humanity was gone, but its legacy remained. They were the last of their kind, the last to remember what Earth once was. And if the Nexians thought they had won, they were about to learn the truth the hard way. This isn't over, he said. We start small, silent. We take out their scouts, study their tech, gather intel. We become ghosts. And when the time is right, we hit them where it hurts. His team nodded, determination burning in their eyes. HFY pulsed with acknowledgement, initializing full facility activation. All systems online. Preparing additional stasis pods for potential revival. Estimated operational readiness: 3 hours. Kane clenched his fists, his heart pounding with purpose. The war for Earth wasn't over. It had only just begun. The ghosts of humanity rise. The frozen walls of the underground facility vibrated as the activation sequence roared to life. Rows of dim emergency lights brightened, casting an eerie glow over the steel-plated corridors. The Sentinels, freshly awakened from decades of stasis, stood at the heart of it all. 5 warriors against an empire. Elias Kane paced the room, his mind calculating their next move. He had spent years in the military before volunteering for Project Revenant, and if there was one thing he knew, it was that war wasn't about strength alone. It was about strategy, about hitting the enemy in ways they never saw coming. The Nexians think they've won, he said, his voice steady, controlled. That's their first mistake. They also think no one is left to fight back, Adrienne Voss added, rolling the stiffness from her shoulders. Her genetically enhanced body had already adapted to the warmth, her cells processing the new environment faster than an ordinary human's ever could. That's their second. Sergeant Marcus Holloway let out a low chuckle, adjusting the cybernetic enhancements embedded in his forearm. And their third mistake. Kane's gaze hardened. They left us alive. The facility's AI, HFY, flickered into existence beside them, its glowing form stabilizing into the vague silhouette of a human figure. I have completed an updated scan of the Nexian presence on the planet. They have established 3 primary command centers, one in New York, one in Tokyo, and one in Berlin. Each operates independently, but they share a central data network linked through their orbital command ship. Dorian Cross, the strategist of the group, stepped forward. His neural implants had already synchronized with the facility's intelligence network, processing patterns in enemy movements. If we take out one of those centers, will the others notice immediately? Negative, HFY replied. Their arrogance has led them to assume planetary domination. Their security measures are lacking. Sienna Volkov smirked. So they got lazy. Kane nodded. That works in our favor. But we can't hit a major command center yet. We need weapons, intel, and a real understanding of their weaknesses. We start small, isolated patrols, supply lines. We learn what they don't want us to know. Holloway cracked his knuckles. I like it. Hit fast, hit hard, disappear. Make them think the ghosts of humanity are coming back to haunt them. We are the ghosts, Voss murmured, her eyes burning with purpose. AVA's hologram shifted, displaying a series of red blips across the map. There are multiple Nexian patrols in the region. The nearest squad is stationed at a former human military outpost, approximately 50 kilometers from our location. Their numbers are small, only 6 soldiers, but they are equipped with standard Nexian energy rifles and reinforced exosuits. Cross studied the tactical display, eyes narrowing. 6 soldiers aren't much, but we have no idea how tough they are in combat. We need a test run. See how they fight, how they react. Then we take them alive, Kane decided. Interrogate them. Learn what they know. If they bleed, we find out how to make them bleed more. Voss turned toward the armory, already knowing where this was headed. Then we'd better suit up. Preparing for war. The armory was a relic of the past, stocked with weapons that had been cutting-edge 2 decades ago, but now felt ancient. However, among the dust-covered racks of rifles and explosives, there were newer additions, technology salvaged from the early battles against the Nexians. Kane lifted a human-engineered rail rifle, its sleek black frame humming softly as he checked its charge. Still operational, he muttered. Voss examined a Nexian energy blade, the plasma edge flaring to life as she activated it. We've got some of their toys to play with too. Holloway loaded a combat shotgun, its modified barrel designed to punch through armored targets. I don't care how advanced they are. A well-placed slug still does the job. Volkov, meanwhile, was already at the facility's main console, her fingers moving rapidly over the interface. I've accessed the Nexian data network through one of their old relay beacons. It's not much, but I can see their patrol schedules. If we move now, we can ambush them before their next check-in. Kane slung the rail rifle over his shoulder. Then we move now. First blood. The Antarctic wasteland stretched before them, an endless expanse of ice and wind. The Nexians had no interest in this frozen hellscape, making it the perfect staging ground for the Sentinel's first mission. Their target was an old human outpost, now occupied by a small Nexian patrol. The team moved with precision, enhanced bodies adapting to the brutal cold as they approached unseen. Through the scope of his rifle, Kane spotted the enemy. 6 Nexians in dark, segmented armor, their elongated limbs encased in reinforced exosuits. Their eyes, hidden behind thick visors, glowed faintly in the dim light. They were taller than humans, more slender, their movements unnaturally fluid. Positions, Kane whispered. Perimeter secure, Voss responded, crouched behind a snow-covered ridge. 3 on the left, Cross murmured, his neural implants highlighting enemy weak points. 2 near the comms tower, 1 inside the building. Holloway flexed his grip around his shotgun. We taking them quiet, or we making noise? Quiet, Kane ordered. We want 1 alive. The Sentinels moved as 1, shadows against the ice. Voss struck first, her energy blade slicing through a Nexian's armor before he could react. He fell without a sound. Holloway grabbed another from behind, his enhanced strength snapping the alien's throat before it could alert the others. Cross fired a silenced round straight through the visor of the third, the Nexian collapsing instantly. Volkov disabled the comms tower in seconds, ensuring no distress signal could be sent. That left 2. Kane lunged forward, slamming 1 Nexian into the wall of the outpost with bone-crushing force. The last one turned, rifle raised. Before he could fire, Voss was on him. driving the hilt of her energy blade into his gut. The alien fell to his knees, wheezing through his breather. Kane loomed over him, ice cold. "Looks like you're coming with us." The Nexian hissed something in its native tongue, but Kane didn't care. This was only the beginning. The Sentinels had risen, and humanity's revenge was just getting started. The interrogation. The captured Nexian struggled against the restraints, its elongated limbs twitching as it tried to free itself. Its armor had been stripped away, revealing the pale, segmented exoskeleton beneath. The creature's breathing was shallow, rattling through its cracked breathing apparatus. It was afraid. Elias Kane stood in front of it, his gaze cold and unyielding. The Nexians had come to Earth expecting to find a dying world, one without resistance. They had no idea what was waiting beneath the ice. Sienna Volkov crouched beside the captive, her enhanced neural implants already translating the alien's frantic mutterings. "It keeps repeating something about the purge being complete and Earth being theirs." She exhaled sharply. "They really think they wiped us out." Adrian Voss leaned against the steel table, arms crossed. "That overconfidence is why we're going to bury them." Marcus Holloway rolled his shoulders, the cybernetic augmentations along his spine humming softly. "Let's get to work. I want answers." The Nexian let out a clicking hiss, its eyes darting between them. Volkov tilted her head, listening. "It thinks we're an anomaly, that we shouldn't exist." Kane stepped forward, leaning in close to the alien. "Yeah, well, we do. And here's the thing. You're going to tell us everything we want to know." The Nexian's mouth opened slightly, rows of needle-like teeth glistening under the dim lights. It clicked something in its language, a slow, deliberate sound. Volkov's eyes narrowed as the translation scrolled across her neural HUD. "It says we should accept extinction. That fighting back is pointless." Holloway let out a dry chuckle. "Oh, buddy, you just made this a lot worse for yourself." Dorian Cross stepped forward, his expression unreadable. He had always been the most analytical of them, the strategist, the one who saw a dozen moves ahead before anyone else had made their first. "AVA, scan its neural activity. I want to know if it's lying." The AI flickered into view, its voice smooth and calculated. "Analyzing. Neural patterns indicate stress, but no deception. The subject genuinely believes humanity is extinct." "Good," Kane said, circling the table. "That means they aren't prepared for what's coming." He leaned in again, voice lower this time. "Now tell us about the command centers. Where are they weakest?" The Nexian let out another slow, rattling breath. It refused to speak. Voss sighed, cracking her knuckles. "We can do this the hard way." She pressed a control on the table, sending a surge of energy through the restraints. The Nexian convulsed, its body arching, as it let out a choked screech. "That's just the first setting," she murmured. The alien gasped, its body twitching. It clicked something hurriedly, the sound sharp and desperate. Volkov listened for a moment, then turned to the others. "It says the command centers are vulnerable from within. Their security measures were built to keep external threats out, but they never expected anything inside to fight back." Kane exchanged a glance with Cross. "That means we have a way in." Cross nodded. "We infiltrate. Sabotage their systems. Make them paranoid." Holloway grinned. "Turn their own arrogance against them." Voss deactivated the restraint controls, watching as the Nexian sagged in exhaustion. "Now, tell us about their orbital command ship." The alien hesitated. Kane pressed his hands on the table, his voice calm but firm. "Tell us, or we'll make sure you wish we had just killed you on that battlefield." The Nexian's breathing grew more erratic. It knew it had no choice. Finally, it clicked out a response. Volkov's eyes flickered with data as her implants processed the translation. Their main command ship orbits Earth on a synchronized rotation with their command centers. It's heavily shielded, but it relies on ground-based relays to maintain its security protocols. If we take out those relays, we can blind them. Kane smiled for the first time since waking up. Then that's our next move. Striking from the shadows. The Sentinels moved through the frozen wasteland like ghosts, their enhanced bodies adapting to the brutal cold as if they had never left. The Nexian relay station was positioned in what had once been the ruins of an old human city, its skeletal remains barely recognizable beneath the ice and rubble. Through the scope of his rifle, Cross spotted the patrols. Nexian soldiers moving in precise formations, their armor glinting under the dim glow of their perimeter lights. 10 hostiles, armed with plasma rifles. 2 automated turrets near the main relay. Voss crouched beside him, her breath steady despite the freezing air. How do you want to do this? Kane considered their options. We take them out fast, silent. If they raise an alarm, we're done. Volkov activated her cloaking module, the advanced tech bending light around her form. I'll handle the security systems. Holloway readied his shotgun, checking the ammo. Let's make this quick. The attack was brutal, efficient. Volkov slipped into the relay station unnoticed, her cybernetic implants overriding the Nexian security protocols within seconds. The automated turrets powered down, their targeting systems scrambling. Voss moved next, slicing through 2 Nexian soldiers with precision. They fell before they even knew what hit them. Cross took out the remaining patrols with silenced shots, his enhanced reflexes making every bullet count. Holloway, grinning, kicked open the main entrance and fired into the last remaining soldier, the blast sending the alien sprawling. Too easy. Kane walked to the main relay, pressing a device against its interface. AVA. Initiate the virus upload. The AI's voice came through their comms. Uploading. 50%. 75%. Complete. A sharp alarm blared from the facility. AVA. Kane barked. Upload complete. Security breach detected. Enemy reinforcements inbound. Kane turned to the others. Time to go. The Sentinels disappeared into the ice just as the first Nexian dropships arrived, their sirens wailing. The enemy had no idea what had hit them. And this was just the beginning.